Let me tell you something right now. Your life doesn't change when it's easy. It changes the moment you decide enough is enough. The moment you draw the line in the sand and say, no more excuses, no more waiting, more settling. You got something inside you that's stronger than your circumstances, stronger than your fears, stronger than your past. But it only comes alive when you PUSH, push past the resistance, push past the doubt, push yourself, make it happen, because nobody is coming to save you. But you can rise and save yourself. Let's cut through the noise right now. If you're waiting for motivation to strike, you've already lost the game. Motivation is a feeling. Feelings are temporary. You don't build a life of impact, success, or deep fulfillment by relying on a fleeting emotion. What actually shapes your destiny is self-discipline. It's the ability to do what you said you do after the excitement has faded and the mood is gone. That's where real transformation happens. People spend years bouncing from idea to idea, goal to goal, thinking the problem is their strategy. It's not. Real problem is that they haven't trained themselves to follow through. The mind will always take the path of least resistance unless you take conscious control of it. Your brain is designed to protect you from discomfort, not to push you toward growth. If you want to grow, you have to override that default. And that's a skill. Self-discipline is a learnable, trainable skill. Now, most people misunderstand what discipline is. They think it's punishment or a form of restriction. It's the exact opposite. Discipline is freedom. When you master your impulses, when you can tell yourself what to do and actually do it, you become powerful. You don't need external validation. You don't need circumstances to be perfect. You stop negotiating with your own excuses. That's real freedom. The ability to act based on values, not based on moods. Think about it. How many times have you said you were going to do something and didn't follow through? You said you were going to wake up early, work out, build your business, write your goals, apply for the job, have the conversation, study the material. When the moment came when it was time to act, something and you said, not now, that tiny decision, that internal micro choice to delay, skip, or quit. That's the moment everything is decided. You don't need to become superhuman. You need to become consistent. The people you admire are not necessarily smarter, luckier, or more talented than you. What they've mastered is the art of doing what needs to be done, regardless of how they feel. Discipline is not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's not about having motivation every day. It's about moving forward anyway. And here's the truth, the version of you that gets results, that creates real change, is already inside you. But that version doesn't come out unless it's summoned through discipline. You can't think your way to change. You act your way there. You push through the resistance. You keep your word to yourself. You build momentum through repetition. Every time you act with discipline, you reinforce the identity of someone who can be trusted with their goals, their commitments, their future. This is not a one-time thing. This is daily. You don't train a muscle once and expect to be strong forever. You don't push yourself once and call it growth. You push and push and push again. Self-discipline is forged in moments of fatigue, boredom, fear, and uncertainty. That's the price. If you're not willing to pay that price, you don't get the reward. Discipline starts small. It's the alarm clock you don't snooze. It's the water you drink instead of the soda. It's the book you read for 10 minutes instead of scrolling for another hour. It's tiny acts of integrity with yourself. And here's what's wild: the more you do it, the easier it gets. Because discipline builds self-respect. When you respect yourself, you stop tolerating things that don't match the future you want. That includes excuses. That includes procrastination. That includes low standards. So if you want to change your life, stop asking how to feel more motivated. Asking, what would the most disciplined version of me do right now? Would they skip this workout? Would they delay that phone call? Would they wait until they feel like it? Or would they act? There's a force inside you that's stronger than your circumstances. It's not found in a book, a quote, or a video. It's built through disciplined action. Every day you stay committed to something you said mattered to you, you're building an unstoppable internal foundation. You're not chasing the result anymore. You're becoming the person who achieves it. You want to write a book, build a business, reshape your body, improve your finances. Starts with the same skill, doing what's required, even when it's hard, even when no one's watching, even when you're tired. Especially when you're tired, that's where the edge is found. That's where the real breakthroughs live. The world doesn't owe you motivation. Your future self is counting on your discipline. You can have excuses or results, but not both. The moment you realize that is the moment you start to lead your life instead of just reacting to it. Push yourself. When you think you've hit the wall, push again. That's how it happens. That's how you make it happen. Clarity is not a luxury. It's a necessity. If you don't know what you want, how can you expect to get it? People go through life hoping things will improve, wishing for change, but without any precise picture of what that change looks like. That's like getting into a car, driving for hours, expecting to arrive somewhere meaningful without ever entering a destination. It's not going to happen. Direction without clarity is wasted effort. Clarity is power because it gives you focus. It helps you eliminate distractions. It allows you to say no to things that don't serve the bigger vision. Most people aren't failing because they're incapable. They're failing because they're distracted. They're spread too thin, chasing too many outcomes, sure of what really matters. The minute you get clear on what you actually want and why it matters, things start to shift. Your energy aligns, your decisions become sharper, and your actions begin to carry weight. You can't hit a target you can't see. Yet many people set vague goals like, I want to be successful, or I want to be happy, or I want to make more money. Those aren't goals, those are wishes. A goal has definition, a goal has structure. A real goal sounds like this. I want to earn $100,000 this year through my online business by offering coaching services to 50 clients, $2,000 each. Now that's clear. Now you know what you're building. Now you can reverse engineer the process. Vague desires produce vague results. Clear intentions create powerful momentum. Clarity doesn't just sharpen your focus. It also fuels your persistence. When you're clear about the result you're after and why it matters, you don't give up when it gets hard. You push through because there's a real reason behind the grind. You stop questioning whether it's worth it. You already know it is. That emotional connection to a clear outcome becomes your fuel source. Clarity brings that emotional connection to life. You're not just showing up to check a box. You're showing up with intention. Let's be real. It's easy to stay busy. It's easy to be in motion all day and still go nowhere. Being in motion is not the same as making progress. Business is a trap when it's not guided by clarity. You can do 10 things that don't matter and feel exhausted, or you can do 2 things that move the needle and feel empowered. The difference is whether you know what you're actually after. This is where most people fall short. They set goals because they feel like they should. They pick outcomes that sound good on paper, but there's no personal ownership. There's no burning why. Behind the target, clarity doesn't just answer what you want. It digs deep into why you want it. Why does this matter to you? What's at stake? If you don't follow through, who will you become if you do? That emotional intensity turns a simple target into a mission, and missions are non-negotiable. Now, don't confuse clarity with perfection. You don't need to know every single step before you begin. You just need a vision strong enough to keep pulling you forward. The path will reveal itself as you walk it. The clearer the destination, the more confident you'll feel taking action, even if you're unsure of how it all unfolds. You'll adjust as you go, but you won't wander aimlessly. Clarity creates alignment between thought, action, and purpose, and that's where the real power lies. Look around at the people who are advancing, who are creating momentum, making things happen. What you'll find is they don't waste energy wondering what they're supposed to do. They've taken the time to define it. They've sat with the questions that most people avoid. What do I want my life to look like? Who do I want to become? What will I no longer tolerate? What does success mean to me? Not society, not my parents, not my peers, me. That kind of clarity becomes a compass. And you don't have to wait for perfect certainty to get started. Clarity is iterative. It gets sharper the more you take action. You refine it by doing. As you engage with your goals, as you take risks, make moves, and face resistance, you'll learn more about yourself. And that feedback makes the vision clearer. You don't get that gift unless you begin. Waiting until it's all mapped out is just another form of fear. Clarity also helps you say no with confidence. You stop chasing shiny objects. You stop being pulled in every direction by someone else's priorities. You stop living on autopilot. When you know what you want, you stop reacting to life and start leading it. Every choice, every habit, every relationship begins to serve a purpose. Even your pain becomes directional because now you can ask, is this helping me move closer to what I said I wanted? That's the question that brings everything into alignment. So if you feel stuck, confused, overwhelmed, it's not because you're incapable. It's because you haven't gotten clear, and clarity isn't passive. You don't find it. You create it. You carve it out with questions, reflection, and honest self-evaluation. You dig for it by shutting out the noise and asking, what do I actually want to build? Who do I want to be in 5 years? What would success look like if I stripped away everyone else's expectations? Don't be afraid of specificity. Don't shrink your goals just because they seem far away. The mind needs a vision. The heart needs purpose. The soul needs direction. That's what clarity gives you. It bridges the gap between your current self and your future self. Once you know where you're going, the journey, while still difficult, becomes meaningful. And when things get tough, and clarity is what brings you back. When fear shows up, clarity gives you courage. When doubts creep in, Life 30 gives you focus. When life throws distractions, clarity gives you discipline. Without it, you wander. With it, you build. So decide who you are. Decide what you want. Decide what matters to you more than comfort or convenience. Doesn't reward indecision. It rewards direction, and direction comes from clarity. Push yourself to define the life you want. Then make it happen. Pain is not your enemy. It's not here to break you. It's here to build you. The problem is, we've been conditioned to run from pain. We label it as something to avoid, something to fear, something that means we've failed. But that mindset is what keeps people stuck. It's not the pain itself that ruins people's lives. It's the belief that pain means stop. It doesn't. It means pay attention. It means learn. It means grow. You want to grow. You want to transform your life. Then understand this. Growth and comfort do not coexist. Every breakthrough you've ever had or ever will have is on the other side of discomfort. But most people try to tiptoe around pain, avoiding anything that feels hard, scary, unfamiliar, or uncertain. And in doing that, they don't avoid pain. They create a different kind of pain, the pain of regret. The pain of wondering what could have been if they'd leaned in instead of backing away. When you shift your relationship with pain, everything changes. Pain becomes feedback. It becomes a compass. It becomes a signal, not to stop, but to get curious. What is this pain trying to teach me? Where is the lesson? What truth is this discomfort revealing that I've been too distracted or too afraid to face? That's the power of reframing pain. You stop being its victim and start becoming its student. Pain will visit everyone. That's not optional. Suffering, though, that's optional. Suffering is pain plus resistance. When you fight the experience, you try to numb it. When you pretend it's not happening, that's when pain turns toxic. But when you step into it, when you face it directly, when you ask it for wisdom, pain becomes your ally. It refines you. It humbles you. It sharpens your focus. It forces you to grow in ways comfort never will. Think about the strongest, most resilient people you've ever met. Were they shaped by ease, by a life without problems? No. They were forged in adversity. They were pressed, broken, tested, and they rose because they chose not to let the pain define them. They used it. They turned wounds into wisdom. They turned setbacks into strategy. That's the path, not around the pain, but through it with purpose. If you're chasing anything worthwhile, a dream, a better body, a deeper relationship, a business, a new identity, pain will show up. You will doubt yourself. You will get knocked down. You will face frustration, confusion, rejection. Those experiences aren't punishments. They're invitations. They're the gatekeepers of every level of progress. And the only way you earn your way through is by enduring them, learning from them, and refusing to quit in the presence of them. There's a reason pain feels intense. It's demanding your attention. And too often, people try to bypass the discomfort through distractions. Social media, food, entertainment, substances, business. But here's the truth. You can't numb selectively. If you numb your pain, you numb your potential. You don't get to skip the process and still claim the reward. You want to be strong, then stop running from what's hard and start engaging with it fully. The gym hurts. Writing every day hurts. Starting over hurts. Forgiving someone hurts. Setting boundaries hurts. But all of these things lead to something better. And when you learn to endure short-term pain for long-term gain, you unlock a part of yourself that's unstoppable. You stop being afraid of hard things because you know hard things don't break you, they build you. Every painful moment carries a lesson. Maybe it's patience. Maybe it's resilience. Maybe it's clarity about what you value. Maybe it's exposure to a blind spot you didn't know you had. The pain is not the problem. The refusal to grow from it is. And you get to decide, will you let this pain define you or will you let it refine you? Sometimes pain is also a signal that you've been out of alignment, that you've been living in a way that doesn't reflect who you really are. Emotional pain in particular often shows up to challenge your choices, your patterns, your silence. Maybe you've tolerated too much. Maybe you've settled too long. Maybe you've ignored your own voice. Pain shows up as a reminder you're meant for more, and this current version of life isn't enough anymore. That's not punishment. That's an invitation to evolve. And don't mistake this for weakness. There's incredible strength in facing pain. Strength is not pretending everything's fine. Strength is sitting with the struggle and still choosing to show up, still choosing to love, still choosing to act. That's what builds character. That's what forges grit. Let's be real. Some of the deepest wisdom in life comes from your lowest moments. The heartbreaks, the failures, the breakdowns, the nights you thought you wouldn't make it, the days you had nothing left, but still got up. Those moments are your teachers, and they leave scars, not to shame you, but to remind you of what you've overcome. Every scar tells a story of survival, evolution, of someone who didn't give in to the pain, but rose through it. So stop asking for the pain to go away. Start asking what it's trying to show you. Every time life knocks you down, you're being asked, will you rise wiser or stay wounded? Pain is not permanent. Growth is. Pain passes. Strength stays. You don't become bulletproof by avoiding hardship. You become unshakable by learning from it. If you're in pain right now, don't retreat. Lean in. Listen to it. Let it teach you. It stretch you. Let it remind you that you are alive, that you are capable of transformation. Use it as fuel. Use it as a mirror. Use it as the pressure that forges your next level. The most powerful version of you isn't born in the comfort zone. It's born in the fire. The adversity you face today is the training ground for the strength you'll need tomorrow. So don't curse it. Don't run from it. Stand in it, grow from it, because pain, when processed properly, becomes purpose. This is power. People love to talk about results. They chase them, dream about them, post about them, but few are willing to build the structure it takes to actually earn them. You want to change your life. You want to elevate your game. You want to turn your potential into performance. Then stop focusing so much on the outcome and start obsessing over the rituals. Because in the end, your results aren't a reflection of your dreams. They're a reflection of your standards, and your standards are lived out through your habits, not once in a while, not when it's easy, every day. Every single day, you are casting votes for the person you're becoming through your rituals, through your routines, through what you choose to prioritize when no one's watching. That's where transformation begins, not in the big goals, but in the quiet consistency behind the scenes. Rituals aren't glamorous. They're not exciting. They don't offer instant gratification, but they work. You don't rise to the level of your ambition. You fall to the level of your systems. And those systems are built from what you do repeatedly. That's why it's not enough to say, I want this, or I believe in that. You've got to prove it in your schedule. Because the truth is, what you do every day is more powerful than what you say you want someday. Let's be honest, everyone's motivated for a moment. Inspiration is everywhere, but discipline is rare, and discipline lives in structure. When you build rituals into your life, rituals that support your energy, your focus, your mindset, your goals, you start to automate progress. You remove willpower from the equation. You stop waking up every day negotiating with your own brain about whether you'll do the work. You just do it. It becomes who you are. Morning rituals, evening rituals, work rituals, recovery rituals, mental reset rituals. These aren't cute productivity hacks. They are the armor you wear to protect your momentum. They're the invisible frame that holds everything together. You show me someone who is performing at a high level consistently, and I will show you someone whose day is not left to chance. They don't hope they'll be productive. They've created an environment, a rhythm, a routine that makes productivity inevitable. The right rituals create leverage. Instead of having to push yourself constantly, your life starts to pull you in the right direction. Imagine starting every day with movement, with intention, with focus. Imagine ending every day with reflection, with gratitude, with a plan for tomorrow. Those small shifts are game changers. They might seem minor in the moment, but done daily, they create a massive compound effect. It's not one big act, it's 1,000 small ones done with consistency. And here's the key, don't wait until you feel like it. If your rituals are dependent on your emotions, you've already lost. Rituals are about standards, not feelings. You train yourself to follow through regardless of mood. That's where your identity begins to shift. Because every time you do the thing you said you would do, especially when it's inconvenient, you send a signal to yourself that says, I am the kind of person who follows through. That's how confidence is built, not through hype, through evidence. Let's break this down even more. Want to become mentally tough? Build a ritual that challenges you every morning. Cold showers, workouts, journaling your fears and flipping them into action steps. Want to grow a business? Ritualize your outreach, your learning, your time blocks for focused work. Want to master a skill? Create a daily ritual of repetition, review, and feedback. It's not magic, it's math. Repetition plus intention equals mastery. But most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they're inconsistent. They do the right thing once or twice, and when results don't come fast, they stop. They're chasing sparks when they should be building systems. Don't be that person. Build rituals that outlast your moods. Build routines that are strong enough to carry you through the rough days, because those days will come. And when they do, it's not your ambition that saves you, it's your habits. And this isn't about rigidity or perfection. This is about structure with flexibility. Your rituals should be sustainable, not extreme. They should serve you, not trap you. They should challenge you, because comfort doesn't create change. You want a different life, then live differently. Organize your days around the outcome you want, not the emotion you're in. Rituals create rhythm, and rhythm creates flow. You stop reacting and start directing. You stop stumbling through your week and start owning your day. Your energy becomes more consistent. Your focus becomes sharper. Your momentum becomes unstoppable. Here's the best part. When you live this way long enough, you won't even recognize the old version of you. The one who made excuses, the one who waited for inspiration, the one who stopped and started 100 times. That version fades. A new version takes its place. A version that's disciplined, focused, consistent. A version that gets things done whether it's sunny or stormy, exciting or boring, chaotic or calm. Because success isn't emotional, it's structural. Strategic, it's scheduled. So stop chasing hype. Stop relying on bursts of motivation. Get serious about your rituals. Audit your habits. Where is your time actually going? Where is your attention being spent? What do your mornings look like? Your evenings? What are the first 30 minutes of your day doing to your mindset? What is the last hour of your night doing to your momentum? This is where the game is won, not in some far off future. Right now. In the tiny, daily disciplines that feel invisible in the moment, but create visible change over time. Rituals create results. Not once, not twice, but every time they're followed, this is the path. It's available to anyone who's willing to stop talking and start building. Push yourself to create the structure. The structure will carry you to the goal. Excuses are comfort, and that's why we use them. They make failure feel justified. Protect the ego. They shield us from responsibility, but they also destroy progress. No matter how good your excuses sound, they don't change reality. You can argue for your limitations all day long, and the reward is you get to keep them. The truth is, excuses are lies we tell ourselves to avoid doing the uncomfortable work of growth. If you want to go to the next level in your life, if you want results instead of regret, you have to kill the excuse mindset completely. You have to get brutally honest about the games you've been playing with yourself. Because make no mistake, every time you make an excuse, you're choosing short-term relief over long-term progress. Protecting your feelings instead of protecting your future. And that trade will cost you more than you can imagine. People will say things like, I don't have the time, but that's not true. What they mean is, haven't made this a priority. Because the truth is, everyone gets 24 hours. The same clock that built businesses, bodies, empires, and legacies is ticking for you too. So the real question is, what are you choosing to do with it? You filling your hours with action or avoidance? Or someone might say, I don't know how. But let's be real, this is the age of unlimited information. You're one search away from the next step. You're one video, one book, mentor away from figuring it out. You don't lack knowledge, you lack commitment. I don't know how is often just a sophisticated way of saying, I'm scared to try. Other times it sounds like, I'm just not motivated. But motivation isn't the issue. Discipline is. Motivation is a mood. It comes and goes. Discipline is a decision. You have to act your way into motivation, not wait for it to show up. You sit around waiting to feel ready. You're not stuck. You're stalling. Stop looking for permission to move. Move anyway. Excuses are clever. They wear disguises. They sound rational. They blend into conversations like facts. Here's how you spot them. They always deflect responsibility. They always shift the blame to something external: time, people, circumstances, luck, the past. But when you give away responsibility, you give away power. If you don't own the problem, you can't own the solution. Ownership is everything. The moment you stop pointing fingers and start pointing the thumb back at yourself is the moment things start to change. It's uncomfortable. It forces you to look at the truth, but that truth will set you free. Because if you created the problem through your choices, that means you can uncreate it with new ones. And that's where your power lies, in responsibility, not in blame. Let me be clear, this isn't about shaming yourself. This is about waking up. It's about refusing to tolerate a mindset that keeps you small. Excuses are silent killers. They don't scream, they whisper. And you don't even notice how they're holding you back until months or years pass and nothing in your life has changed. You're still dreaming about the same goals, still complaining about the same problems, still telling the same stories about why you can't. There's a better way. It starts with radical self-honesty. Ask yourself, what have I been avoiding? What excuses am I clinging to that make me feel safe, but are actually making me stuck? Where am I letting fear wear the mask of logic? If you don't ask these questions, you'll never expose the lies. If you don't expose the lies, they'll keep running your life. You have to get to the point where you're more committed to your growth than your comfort, where the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of change. That's the tipping point. That's when people snap out of the excuse trance and wake up to what's possible. And here's the truth: you're more capable than you've let yourself believe. You're not missing anything. You're not broken. You don't need someone to come save you. You need to stop making excuses and start making decisions. Decide to take ownership. Decide to be the kind of person who doesn't tolerate the language of limitation. Decide to tell yourself the truth, even when it hurts, because the more honest you are, the faster you grow. Excuses delay growth. Truth accelerates it. And when you let go of the excuse mindset, something incredible happens. You start to build confidence. Not the kind of confidence that comes from external validation, but the kind that comes from knowing you are no longer lying to yourself. That kind of internal alignment is powerful. You stop needing the world to give you permission. You stop waiting for ideal conditions. You stop hesitating. You just move. You execute. You rise. There are two types of people in this world: those who find reasons and those who find results. Which one are you becoming? Because every excuse you eliminate is one step closer to the life you were meant to live, not the life you were handed, the one you are capable of creating. But you can't build that life on a foundation of stories and justifications. You build it on action, ownership, and integrity. You don't need more time. You need more honesty. You don't need more motivation. You need to stop negotiating with your weakness. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. Because the future you want won't wait forever. And every excuse you make is just a delay tactic dressed as logic. Kill the excuse mindset. Replace it with a relentless standard for execution. Build your life on truth. Build it on responsibility. Build on the unshakable belief that you have what it takes. If you'll just stop standing in your own way, push yourself, make it happen. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need all the answers. You don't need another seminar, another motivational video, or another round of overthinking. What you need is movement. You need to take massive, imperfect action, because action, not knowledge, not intention, not planning, is what creates momentum. It's what gets you out of your head and into your life. The greatest trap in personal growth, in business, in health, in relationships, is waiting. Waiting to feel ready, waiting for clarity, waiting for the perfect strategy. Here's the truth that most people never face. Waiting is a decision. It's a choice to stay stuck. And it's a costly one, because while you're thinking about starting, someone else is already doing the work. While you're analyzing every angle, someone else is taking the shot, failing, learning, and adjusting. And by the time you finally feel ready, they've already passed you. You will never think your way into confidence. You act your way there. You learn through motion, through trial, through correction. That's how every master was made. No one became great by playing it safe and getting it perfect before they moved. They became great by doing it messy, by failing forward, by learning faster than their fear could catch up. The people who win are the ones who stop needing everything to be right before they begin. They just begin. Taking massive imperfect action means giving yourself permission to be in progress, not perfect. It means accepting that your first try might be wrong and doing it anyway. It means being more committed to movement than to approval, more committed to execution than to ego, because perfectionism is just fear in disguise. It says, if I can't do it flawlessly, I won't do it at all. And that mindset kills dreams before they ever get off the ground. Think about how many ideas die in notebooks, how many goals stay on vision boards, how many businesses never launch, How many stories are never written? Not because the people weren't capable, but because they were waiting for ideal conditions. But life doesn't reward perfection, it rewards momentum. When you move, doors open. When you commit, the right people show up. When you take action, you create data, and that data guides your next move. Action creates clarity, not the other way around. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. Try to be amazing, just try to be consistent. Show up messy, uncertain, uncomfortable. Make mistakes, get feedback, adjust, keep going. That's the process. It's available to everyone, but it's owned by the few who stop negotiating with fear and start doing something about it. There will always be a voice in your head that says, what if I fail? Answer it with action. Show it that failure is not the end. It's the beginning of mastery. There will always be another voice that says, I'm not ready. Answer it by moving forward anyway. Because readiness doesn't come before action. It comes as a result of action. You build readiness by building experience, and experience only comes through doing. Massive imperfect action also builds identity. Every time you move, even when it's messy, you're telling yourself, I am someone who takes initiative. I am someone who moves toward the life I want. That builds confidence. That builds integrity. That builds an internal track record of trust. And that trust becomes your foundation. It becomes your edge in a world full of hesitation. This is not about being reckless or impulsive. This is about refusing to be paralyzed by analysis. It's about giving yourself permission to be a beginner, to suck at something for a while, to figure it out as you go. Every expert you admire once stood where you are now, full of doubt, unsure of the path, but willing to start, willing to learn, willing to act. Even if it wasn't pretty, the only way out of stuck is action, not clarity, not perfection, not more planning. Movement is the medicine. Action is the cure. You want to write a book, start writing, even if it's terrible. You want to start a business, make your first call, even if you stumble. You want to change your body to the gym, even if it's just for 15 minutes. The first action is rarely impressive, but it's always important because it breaks inertia. And once inertia is broken, everything gets easier. Stop trying to build the perfect staircase before taking the first step. Take the step, then build, then pivot, then climb. You will learn 10 times more through one imperfect action than through 10 hours of contemplation. You will grow faster than you ever thought possible if you keep showing up. Understand this motion creates confidence. Confidence creates speed. Speed creates opportunity. And opportunity creates transformation. The whole chain starts with that first imperfect step. If you wait for everything to feel certain, you'll wait forever. If you need every detail locked in, you'll never launch. So don't aim for flawless. Aim for forward. Forward is enough, is progress. Forward is what separates the dreamers from the doers. So ask yourself, what can I do right now with what I have from where I am? Then go do it. Don't wait for the feeling. Don't wait for someone to say you're good enough. Don't wait for the perfect timing. Take the shot. Make the call. Write the email. Launch the project. Move forward because you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be in motion. You don't need a guarantee. You just need courage. You don't need to see the whole path. You just need to take the next bold step. That's how people win, not because they had a perfect plan, but because they refused to stand still. Push yourself. Make it happen.